All right, so we're gonna do sushi today. We're gonna do basic Maki Sushi. I've gone ahead. I washed my hands really good. I know that we use gloves when we're doing ready to eat foods and everything like that. But with sushi, it's almost impossible to use gloves because everything sticks to the gloves, right? So let me talk a little bit about the mise en place. We'll kick this down a little bit. You can see my cutting board. I'll bring everything across my cutting board. Everything that you're gonna need for. Right, the most important thing is the rice. So let's talk about that first. So the rice, what I like to do is I like to use the short grain Calrose Japanese rice, okay? And I'm gonna do the basic recipe for a small amount is like a cup and a quarter of rice, like a little bit more than a cup of rice, right? So one, and then a quarter cup of rice, right? So 1 1/4, right? Then what I do is I gotta rinse it, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in the sink. Cold water, rinse. I'm gonna wrap this up while I'm waiting. You wanna rinse it until the water runs clear. So let me see if I can tip this up a little bit so I can show you the sink. There we go. And so what I'm doing is I'm just allowing the water to come into the pot like this, and then I'm just gonna tip the pot over. All right, and you can see the milky white water coming out. All right, it's got to be kind of clear, so you're gonna rinse it maybe 5 times. Okay, and you got 2. All right, this is kind of redundant. So let's pretend we did 5 times. That's 5, right? So 5, and the water running clear now, right? So then what I do is I actually take a strainer. And I dump it into a strainer, all the rice into the strainer. All right, and what I want to do at this point is I want to let this just drain. Let me put this down so you can see it. And I'll let it drain for about an hour or 2, right? So just in the interest of time, we're just going to pretend that this is already drained for an hour or 2. I'm going to go ahead and put it into the pot. And now for a cup and a quarter of water, I'm going to do 2 cups of cold water, right? So a cup and a quarter of rice, 2 cups of water, right? I'm gonna make sure everything is down inside there, right? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on the stove. Have to have a tight fitting lid. Let me show you the tight fitting lid. You have to have a tight fitting lid, okay? See that? And you're gonna put it on the stove full blast, all the way up. Again, if you have a rice cooker, that works great as well. There we go. All right, so full blast. That's gonna come to a boil. And then it's going to be turned down to a simmer, and you're going to cook it for about 10-12 minutes. That's it. You're going to tip the pot to the side. You're going to see that there's no water flowing, and then you're going to shut it off and let it sit for a little while, right? So through the magic of television, we have some rice already ready to go. Okay, so this came off a while ago. I've fluffed it until all the steam came out. You want the rice to be about 88 degrees, a little bit colder than body temperature, right? It's not cold, it's just about 88 degrees. And then the next key ingredient that we're gonna add is we're gonna add seasoned rice wine vinegar. Now, this brand is a really good one right here. And it says seasoned on it. And again, in your recipe packet, I gave you the recipe on how to season it yourself. You can buy just distilled rice wine vinegar and then season it yourself. It's seasoned with ginger kombu, which is a Japanese seaweed. Caught off the coast of Japan in the Pacific Ocean, and then you have salt and sugar. Salt and sugar are the key ingredients, right? So it's flavorful. Now this one here, again, it's seasoned already, and I've gone ahead and given you guys, if you came to pick up the ingredients last week, you got the seasoned rice wine vinegar. That's seasoned already, okay? So you don't need to season it. What I need to do is, at this point, for this amount, I'm gonna put in about a 1/4 cup of rice wine vinegar, seasoned rice wine vinegar, and then I'm going to fluff. I'm using a plastic bowl. I'm using a plastic little paddle here. You want the rice to be, we remember it by the 3 S's, right? They should be sticky, they should be separate, and they should be seasoned, right? 3 S's, sticky, separate, and seasoned. All right, so it's sticky, separate, seasoned, perfect, right? I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit just to taste it, just to make sure. At this point, it's going to taste a little bit vinegary, and that's right. That's fine because the vinegar flavor is going to dissipate a little bit. So, oh, that's perfect. Perfect, doesn't need anything, right? So then I have my rice. I'm gonna keep my rice to the side, right? I have my nori. These are seaweed sheets. Nori, everybody say nori, N-O-R-I, right? It has two sides. One is a shiny side, and the other one is a not so shiny side. You want to make sure that you're working with the shiny side out or the shiny side down, right? So what I've done is I've gone ahead and cut those in half. They come in 8 inches by 8 inches sheets, and I cut them in half so they're 4 inches by 8 inches now, right? So that's one. And then I have my cucumbers. My cucumbers, I'm just going to cut ahead and cut one. I cut it in half. What I did was I cut it in the length of my nori. See the nori here? I cut it the same length. See that? You can see that it's cut the same length. And the reason why I do that is so that I could use one piece of cucumber and it'll fill my entire sushi roll. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half. I want to take my seeds out. Some chefs like to peel the cucumber. I don't. I just like to use the whole cucumber as far as the peeling is concerned, but I don't use the seeds. All right, the seeds get a little too watery in there. All right, so we can actually just get rid of those. And then what I do is I cut them into long, like bâtonnet. Bâtonnet is a French word, not a Japanese word, right? But you guys understand what that is from 111, so I'm just going to use that term, bâtonnet. And what I'll do is, it's a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch by about 8 inches long, right? And this is a cucumber. Now, you can, for California roll, you can use crab meat, you can use avocado, you can use a bunch of different things. We're just going to be making basic maki sushi. I'm going to show you 2 techniques. One is the inside out roll, and the other one is the standard maki sushi roll, right? So we're going to be doing that. I have the rice wine vinegar nearby. I have over here, I have the gari or the shoga, right? This one here is it's the Japanese marinated ginger, okay? And this is going to be to cleanse their palate in between different courses of sushi, right? So we're going to need to do that. We got that nearby. And then I have some wasabi powder, right? The wasabi powder, it's a raisin, it's a root that is grown in Japan. Most of the wasabi that's produced in the world is consumed by Japan. And it doesn't grow very well in the rest of the world, so it's very difficult to find real wasabi. It's very expensive. It's, again, supply and demand and such. But anyway, so what we have here is we have kind of like the makeshift wasabi, right? And I'm going to go ahead and use a glove for this. And stick a glove on. Ooh, turn it around here. And the reason why is because I want to feel it. It's a feel thing. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water. So again, it's about 50-50. So if I have about 3 tablespoons of wasabi powder. I'm going to go ahead and add about 3 tablespoons of water. And I'm just going to rotate it. I got to mix it up with my finger. And the reason why is I want to feel it. It gets like a clay or wet sand-like consistency, all right? A little tiny bit more water here. Okay, there we go. And that, all right, so this is wasabi. Now, you don't want to inhale too much when you're doing this because, boy, it's potent stuff here, right? Wasabi for this one is actually made out of horseradish. For this in this country, mostly that's what you find 9 out of 10 times is the horseradish. All right, so it's a horseradish. Now I have that nearby. I have my pickled ginger nearby. I need also a bowl of water. So I have a big bowl of water here. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put a little bit of the rice wine vinegar in there, and that's going to change the pH in that. And the reason why I want to change the pH is because I'm using that to soak my hands. And that is going to retard bacterial growth, all right? So you're not going to have too much bacteria. Again, we're not wearing gloves, so we want to make sure that we're washing our hands each time. Plus, we want to make sure that we have our hands nice and wet so that our hands don't stick to the rice. Because if our hands are dry, they will stick to the rice, all right? And let's get started. I have some soy sauce nearby as well, just because I like soy sauce, all right? So now I have my rice. Another thing, all right, I'm going to need a good cutting board. I'm going to need a good sharp knife. I'm going to need a towel nearby. I want to be able to make sure that I'm working clean, neat, and organized at all times. Japanese sushi chefs, it's all about presentation, and the presentation is all about working there, right? A lot of times you'll see the sushi chef actually working in front of the customer, right? So anyway, so I have this is a Maki Stew. It's a bamboo sushi mat. All right, you can get this in any Asian market. They're about $1.50, $2. Okay, you can buy the more expensive ones on Amazon. I saw them for like, I don't know, like $8 or whatever. Anyway, so what I did was I basically covered mine with a piece of plastic wrap. And the reason why is, again, I don't want the nori and all the rice to stick to my maki stew. I want it to last a little longer. So I'm just going to keep that nearby. And then I'm going to start to make my maki sushi. All right, maki sushi means roll or hand roll, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of the nori. I'm gonna lay it down on my cutting board. Again, shiny side out. I'm gonna get my hands a little bit wet. I'm gonna take a tennis ball. Everybody think like Serena Williams, right? Tennis ball size, right? So, right, Serena, okay. Now I put it right in the center. Then what I wanna do is step 2, I wanna make a bar across. I wanna make a bar across. So I make a bar across, so I have all my rice in one solid ball right in the middle, right there. And then what I'm gonna do is 6 movements. 6 movements. It's left side pull down with your fingers, and then left side push up with your thumbs. And then right side pull down with your fingers, and then right side push up with your thumbs, right? And then center, pull down with your fingers, and then center, push up with your thumbs. Now you wanna do this, you wanna get the rice so that, again, remember 3 S's, sticky, separate. If you look at it, each rice kernel is still separate on there, right? And sticky, right? It's sticky so that they're sticking together, right? So it has that little bit of shine on it, and the reason why it has that shine on it is because it has that little bit of rice wine vinegar in there. What I'm gonna do now is I'm actually just gonna take this and I'm gonna flip it over. Super easy, right? Just like that. You can actually take that and you can actually put a little bit of sesame seeds on there or season it if you'd like a little bit. I'm just gonna go ahead and put my cucumber right in the center like that. And then I'm just gonna roll it up. Super easy, right? Just roll it up right around my cucumber. At this point, you can actually put avocados in there. You can put crab meat in there. You can put different flavored, you know, like spicy tuna, spicy salmon, all kinds of different stuff in there, right? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my sushi mat. I'm gonna lay my sushi mat right on top of it, and then I'm just gonna press down. You wanna do about 8 pounds of pressure, straight down. And you're doing it so that it's nice and round, all right? I'm pulling forward, pushing back, all right? Then what I do is I move it over to the left. That enables me to clean up my end, see? Watch this, I'm gonna clean up my end, all right? And then I'm gonna turn it to this side. I'm gonna clean up the end on this side as well. So I clean up my end nicely, right? Once I do that, then I can take my knife. I wanna get my knife a little bit wet. I wanna cut it right in half in the center. Right in half in the center, right? And then what I'm gonna do is move this over. All right, again, each time I'm wiping my knife and I'm going to cut it in thirds now. Each time, wipe my knife, each time, cut it in thirds now. All right, now I have my plate here. Okay, what I'm gonna do, I have a little bit of cucumber sticking out here, so I'm gonna just cut that off. There we go. And then I'm gonna just take these and I'm gonna tip it up, slide it in, tip the outside ones up. Okay, so I have a beautiful presentation on my Maki Sushi. This is the inside out roll, they call it, right? I'm gonna place that on my tray, and I'm gonna do the other one, the other roll, right? So let's do that one. This one is a little bit different. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure we stay nice and clean, right? Neat and organized with our towel. Again, we're going into that vinegar infused water, so, right? So your station stays nice and clean without using any like disinfectant or anything. Station stays nice and clean, and knock this over. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the traditional. Now the traditional, I'm going to take my maki stew and I'm going to lay that down first, like that. Then I'm going to lay, again, shiny side out of my nori. I'm going to lay my nori down, right? This time I'm going to go a little bit smaller than a tennis ball, all right? So this one's going to be a little bit smaller than a tennis ball. So look at the tennis ball and then put some back, basically, all right? So I have my tennis ball. All right, I'm gonna put that a little bit more, maybe. There we go. So tennis ball, a little bit less. Put it right in the center like we did before, same exact thing. All right, make a bar across, all right? Bar across, bar across. And then the 6 movements, remember? Pull down left side with fingers, push up left side with thumbs. This time I'm actually leaving a little bit of nori exposed at the top, you see that? And you'll see why in just a second. Left side, pull down, left side, push up, center, pull down, center, push up. So you have 6 movements, right? So we have 6 movements on the rice, okay? Then, and this time I'm not gonna flip it over because this time I'm gonna keep the rice on the inside and the nori sheet is gonna be on the outside. I'm gonna go ahead and put my cucumber right in the center. My cucumber's just a tiny bit too long. There we go. All right, and then this time I'm gonna pick up my sushi mat and I'm gonna roll it over. And when I get over to the edge, I'm going to pull it back like this, okay? And then I'm going to roll it up, just like that. Now when I roll it up, I'm gonna bring it to the end, and then I'm going to roll it again like this, okay? And then I'm going to unroll it, right? Now what I like to do is, again, clean up the ends, right? So you clean up the ends, every roll you make, doesn't matter what roll it is, you're gonna clean up your ends every single time, right? So this time, I'm actually going to wet my knife again, and this time, I'll actually do 4 cuts. So I'll do 1 in the middle, right? And then I'm gonna do that in half again. And again, I'm using I'm not applying any downward pressure. That's super important, guys. Don't put any downward pressure because otherwise everything will squeeze out the end, right? You want to just use that herky-jerky sawing motion with a really super sharp knife, right? And you should be able to do it. Now, if you don't have a sushi knife, just use your chef's knife. Make sure it's super sharp. Make sure it's super clean. And then keep getting it wet like this, right? So, all right, so now what I can do is tip these over. Cut all the way through. Tip these over, and I have beautiful Maki Sushi. What I like to do is keep them together, and the reason why I like to keep them together is because we don't want the rice to dry out, okay? And so you keep everything together, and when I transfer it to the plate, I transfer all at once, right? So I'll get my hands a little bit wet. I'll transfer everything all at once, watch. Just like that, all at once to the plate. See that on the plate? And then you say, arigato, and you go like this, right? So anybody, questions in the chat? You can go ahead. Oh, you know what? Let me set up the. I want to set up the whole plate so you can see what it looks like. So with this plate right here, what I want to do is, and again, just use small plates if you don't have Japanese plates. Use a little bit of the shoga, right, as a garnish right there, and then so you make like a little flower there with it, and then you take some of the wasabi, and you can make it into a pyramid or a round cylindrical shape or whatever, and you just stick that on there. You don't want to give them too much wasabi, right? So, all right, and like that, and then we can serve it with a little bit of soy sauce on the side. So you serve a little bit of soy sauce, and you got your sushi condiments, and here I have my Maki Sushi, right? Just like this, and what you want to do with the, right, you want to take your chopsticks, okay, and then you can go ahead and take your sushi and enjoy. Very good.